In this video, you will learn the standard detailing procedures for a non-detentioned tieback using PreTak and e.cover TB, a prefabricated tieback cover produced by EPRO. Please review project details before starting application, as your project may have site-specific details that differ from this video tutorial. PreTak is a pre-applied HDPE waterproofing membrane with a pressure-sensitive adhesive coating, also known as a PSA, that fully activates when fresh concrete is placed against it to create an integral bond to the concrete substrate. e.cover TB is a prefabricated, highly durable thermoplastic tieback cover designed to maximize concrete cover and minimize reinforcement interference. e.cover TB simplifies complex waterproofing detailing around soil retention tieback heads, eliminating the need for the time-consuming field fabrication of tieback covers. The following EPRO materials are utilized in this video tutorial: PreTak waterproofing membrane, PreTape single-sided adhesive tape, PreTape D double-sided adhesive tape, e.cover TB tieback cover, E-Drain 6000 drainage composite, E-Stop Goo hydrophilic water stop caulking sealant, and PM sealant HDPE detailing sealant. You will also need the following tools: a permanent marker, utility knife, heavy seam roller that is between 2 and 4 inches wide and made from either metal or hard rubber, expanding closed-cell spray foam kit, 10-ounce cartridge caulking gun, and a 20-ounce sausage caulking gun. Step 1. Prepare the substrate and tieback plate. Before starting this sequence, refer to EPRO specifications to confirm the shoring wall substrate meets manufacturer requirements. Tieback plate designs will vary based on project requirements. In this tutorial, we start by filling in the void between the soldier pile and the tieback plate with non-shrink hydraulic grout or other EPRO-approved void-filling material. Step 2. Apply the drainage layer around the tieback. Start with the application of E-Drain 6000 drainage composite over the shoring wall and soldier piles. Position E-Drain 6000 so it stops a ½ inch away from all sides of the tieback plate. In conditions where the drainage composite is held back from the tieback plate, the space created between the tieback plate and drainage layer needs to be filled with an EPRO-approved leveling material. Step 3. Seal the tieback from the drainage layer. For applications within the design water table, use PM sealant to fill the ½ inch gap between E-Drain 6000 and the tieback, applying the sealant until it is level with the drainage composite. Please note that this step is not required when the tieback is located above the water table. Step 4. Apply the PreTak base sheet around the tieback. Apply the PreTak base sheet over the shoring wall and up to the tieback with the PSA-coated surface facing the installer, so the PreTak covers the gap between the E-Drain 6000 and the tieback plate. Step 5. Prepare e.cover TB for application. Turn the e.cover TB over to expose the underside of the flange and then cover the flange with PreTape D double-sided tape. Measure 2 pieces of PreTape D that are the same length as the top and bottom of the e.cover TB flanges and 2 pieces of PreTape D that are the same length as the side flanges. Cut the PreTape D pieces and apply them to the underside of the e.cover TB flange by removing the release liner on one side of the PreTape D double-sided tape and adhering it to the flange. Continue to apply the additional PreTape D pieces around the perimeter of the flange, overlapping the tape adhesives onto each other to create a continuous layer of tape. When installing one piece of PreTape D over a previously applied piece, peel back the release liner of the existing PreTape D to achieve a direct adhesive-to-adhesive bond. Use a heavy seam roller to firmly adhere the PreTape D against the e.cover TB flange. Once the PreTape D is adhered to the underside of the flange, wait to remove the second PreTape D release liners until instructed. Step 6. Apply e.cover TB over the tieback. Adhere e.cover TB over the tieback plate by first removing the second release liner covering the 4 pieces of PreTape D on the underside of the e.cover TB flange. Next, turn the e.cover TB over and center it over the tieback. Then press the e.cover TB onto the PreTak base sheet surrounding the tieback. Finally, press firmly against the e.cover TB flanges to ensure complete adhesion to the PreTak base sheet. Step 7. Mechanically fasten the e.cover TB over the tieback. Using corrosion-resistant fasteners, mechanically secure the e.cover TB to the shoring wall through the pre-drilled holes in the e.cover TB flange in at least 4 alternating locations. Step 8. Prepare the e.cover TB for the PreTak target sheet frame application. Begin by sealing the perimeter of the e.cover TB to the PreTak base sheet with PM sealant. Apply a 1/2-inch wide bead of PM sealant around the edge of the flange and onto the PreTak base sheet, filling in any gaps formed under the flange during fastening. Next, cover the top of the e.cover TB flange with pre-tape D. Measure 2 pieces of pre-tape D, the same length as the top and bottom flanges, and 2 pieces of pre-tape D that are the same length as the side flanges. Cut the pre-tape D pieces and apply them to the e.cover TB flange, sealing over the fasteners by removing the release liner on one side of the pre-tape D double-sided tape and adhering it to the flange. Continue to apply the additional pre-tape D pieces around the perimeter of the flange, overlapping the tape adhesives onto each other to create a continuous layer of tape. When installing one piece of pre-tape D over a previously applied piece, peel back the release liner of the existing pre-tape D to achieve a direct adhesive to adhesive bond. Use a heavy seam roller to firmly adhere the pre-tape D to the e.cover TB flange and the PreTak base sheet. Once the pre-tape D is fully adhered, wait to remove the second pre-tape D release liners until instructed. Step 9. Fill in the e.cover TB with expanding closed-cell spray foam. Inject spray foam through the pre-drilled injection holes located on the e.cover TB cone until it expands out of both injection holes. The top hole is located at the outer edge of the cone, and the bottom hole is located several inches from the base of the cone. Either hole can be used to fill the e.cover TB with expanding spray foam. After the foam has hardened, cut off any foam that expanded out of the injection holes so that it is flush with the e.cover TB surface. Step 10. Create a PreTak target sheet picture frame to seal the e.cover TB flange. Prepare a PreTak target sheet that covers the e.cover TB and extends a minimum of 5 inches onto the PreTak base sheet. To create the PreTak target sheet, cut a rectangular piece of PreTak that is 10 inches longer than the height and width of the e.cover TB flanges. Next, remove PreTak material from the center of the PreTak target sheet to create a picture frame that will go around the e.cover TB cone and extend equally beyond all sides of the flange onto the PreTak base sheet. To create the center hole of the PreTak frame, use a permanent marker to mark a line that is 8 inches in from the outer edges of all 4 sides of the target sheet. Cut out the rectangle marked in the center of the PreTak target sheet to create the hole for the PreTak frame that fits tightly around the cone of the e.cover TB. Next, apply pre-tape D to the outside perimeter of the HDPE underside of the PreTak frame. Turn the PreTak frame over so the smooth, non-PSA covered underside is exposed, and measure 2 pieces of pre-tape D the same length as the top and bottom sides of the frame, and 2 pieces of pre-tape D that are the same length as the sides. Next, cut the pre-tape D pieces and apply them to the smooth HDPE surface along the outside perimeter of the PreTak frame by removing the release liner on one side of the pre-tape D double-sided tape and adhering it to the frame. Continue to apply the additional pre-tape D pieces around the perimeter of the frame, overlapping the tape adhesives onto each other to create a continuous layer of tape. When installing one piece of pre-tape D over a previously applied piece, peel back the release liner of the existing pre-tape D to achieve a direct adhesive to adhesive bond. Use a heavy seam roller to firmly adhere the pre-tape D to the PreTak frame. Once the pre-tape D is fully adhered, wait to remove the second pre-tape D release liners until instructed. Finally, apply the PreTak frame over the e.cover TB flange by first removing the pre-tape D release liners covering the e.cover TB flange. Then, with the PSA side of the PreTak facing up, apply the PreTak frame with the hole centered over the top of the e.cover TB cone. Press the frame firmly against the exposed pre-tape D adhesive on the e.cover TB flange. Next, remove the second pre-tape D release liner on the underside of the PreTak frame, one side at a time, and press the PreTak frame firmly to the PreTak base sheet around the tieback. Roll the entire PreTak frame with a heavy seam roller to completely adhere it to the e.cover TB flange and PreTak base sheet. Step 11. Apply E.cover water stop sealant to the inside edge of the PreTak frame. Apply a 1/2-inch wide bead of E.cover water stop sealant to seal the PreTak at the base of the e.cover TB cone where it meets the PreTak frame. Step 12. Seal the e.cover TB injection holes. Seal the e.cover TB injection holes by applying a 1/2-inch wide ball of E.cover over the hole. Then cut 2 square pieces of pre-tape a minimum of 4 inches wide by 4 inches long. Remove the release liner over the pre-tape adhesive and apply the tape centered over the ball of E.cover covering each injection hole. Press the pre-tape firmly onto the e.cover TB surface and smooth out any wrinkles. Step 13. Seal the edges of the PreTak frame with pre-tape. First, apply pre-tape single-sided tape to the outer perimeter of the PreTak frame. Measure and cut 2 pieces of pre-tape that extend 2 inches past each side of the top and bottom outer edges of the PreTak frame, and 2 pieces of pre-tape that extend 2 inches past each end of the side edges. Then, starting 2 inches beyond the outer edge of the PreTak frame, remove the pre-tape release liner and apply the adhesive side of the pre-tape so half of the tape is on the PreTak frame and the other half is onto the PreTak base sheet. Continue to apply the additional pre-tape pieces around the outer perimeter of the PreTak frame, overlapping the tape adhesives onto each other to create a continuous layer of tape. Finally, use a heavy roller to firmly adhere the pre-tape to the PreTak base sheet, PreTak frame, and the e.cover TB cone and smooth out any wrinkles. The PreTak non-detensioned tieback detail is now complete.